I got started flipping houses. That was my first successful thing. I was doing project management. I was listing the properties. I was finding the deals. I was doing all this stuff. And eventually I was like, dude, you know, really this business is going to grow based on how many deals I get. That's what it is.
There's a thing you're doing that actually makes the business grow.
Yeah.
And to the degree that you free up your time to just do that is the problem. The 4 C's of leverage, right? Content, collaboration, code, and capital. So Warren gets access to deals that no other buyers get access to because he's Warren Buffett, because he's tip of the spear. The CEOs, there's 3 jobs we should be doing: vision, people, and money.
All right, today on the Wealthy Way podcast, I've got a SaaS guy. If you don't know what that is, software as a service. This man has sold 3 different SaaS companies, multiple 8-figure exits. So for those who don't know you, I mean, I kind of just talked about SaaS and everything. How'd you get in this space?
Well, so software as a service is a kind of an interesting industry because a lot of people are scared of it because of the software side, right? Restaurants easier, real estate, obviously a lot more approachable people. They live in houses. But I actually learned to code in a way that actually saved my life. So when I was a kid, I got in a lot of trouble, like prison twice, addicted to drugs. And the second time when I got arrested, I did 6 months in an adult jail due to the severity of my crimes. And then after that, got immediately released to a rehab center called Portage, where I spent 11 months in therapy. And it was really that program that helped me rebuild my self-esteem because I had very little, understand my emotions because I used to have like a severe anger issue, and really rebuilt the trust I lost with like my brothers and my family and my parents. And at the end of that program, I was helping Rick, the maintenance guy, clean out one of these cabins because it was built in an old church camp. And in one of the rooms was this old computer and a yellow book sitting next to it on Java programming. And for whatever reason, it just spoke to me. And as a 17-year-old, I just became addicted. I opened the book, chapter 1, followed the instructions. And within 20 minutes, I got the computer to say, "Hello world."
What year was this?
This would have been 97.
Okay. So, I mean, it was the beginning of the internet.
It was literally like I got out, software became my new addiction, entrepreneurship, kind of like the ultimate personal development program. And I discovered this small thing called the internet. And that was that. I mean, I've been building online software companies since.
Yeah. Since the beginning.
Literally, like this was dial-up time. Then we got into like cable modems and really like even the term SaaS is probably only like 6-7 years old. Like it's not, it used to be the cloud, and before that was ASP. But the whole idea for me and what I'm known for is the reoccurring revenue guy. Like even in my education company, SaaS Academy, so we're the largest software CEO coaching program in the world. We have about 1,000 active clients.
Wow.
We run it like a software company. We have customer success. We have literally revenue operations, just everything maps to SaaS companies because I just find it's the most honest business model out there where people can sign up and on a monthly basis, they're making a decision if they're going to pay, right? And if they don't get any value from your product, they don't feel like it's worthy, they leave. And it's just a beautiful kind of agreement. And honestly, growing up in such chaos, like the idea of like the predictability of it and the consistency of it just really resonated with me.
Yeah. No, I think we haven't had many tech guys on the show. Most are like gritty, just hustle entrepreneurs, I would say, like where it's like, dude, anybody can get into real estate. Anybody can go start maybe like a service-based business. But once you start getting into tech, it just kind of flies over most people's heads. And I think there's this perceived barrier compared to other, I guess, niches. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's the technical side, right? So it's like, but if we started a restaurant, we wouldn't go learn how to cook.
Right.
So it's just, it's similar in the sense that like if I bought a restaurant, I'd find a chef, like a head chef to partner with me. The best way to build software, and I did this, with Russell at ClickFunnels and Todd, like Todd was the technical mind, right? Russell was the marketer, later on other people came in and support, but this is true with like Alex at Hyros and a bunch of other people I've coached. Like you need to find that partner that can support you on the technical side to kind of de-risk that. And then everything else works like most businesses.
So basically guys like me who are not technically savvy, but we have some great software idea. I just have to get a really good tech guy.
Yeah. And the cool part is it's not that hard. So you can go on Upwork and find somebody part-time as a contractor in the US.
Yeah.
You can find somebody in kind of like Eastern Europe. Those are great kind of pockets of people to hire from. Or you can like even call it like my first engineer that I ever hired other than myself. I called the local college and just said, who's your best student? And it was this kid named Scott.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just took Scott out for some coffee, some Tim Hortons. I know you spent a lot of time in Canada.
Yeah, I know exactly what
So I brought him
Timmy
out to
Hortons, baby.
Timmy Hortons. And Scott showed up and he looked like a Unabomber. Like Scott had a big beard, didn't look like he didn't shave or wash himself in days, big parka jacket. But the most brilliant software programmer I probably ever worked with.
Wow.
Like his just mind worked differently.
Yeah. You know, we have 2 developers on staff full time, and they help across all my companies and just different Ryan projects. And so like one thing they created was our Wealthy Way app. And, you know, it's this all-in-one planner with all these other cool features. It's free, you know, it's not any kind of recurring revenue or anything. It's just like value. I honestly want it for me.
Yeah.
I was just like,
those
dude,
are the best projects to build.
Yeah. I'm like, I need a planner. And I'm using this Excel sheet to track my progress. And they're like, dude, we can make that into an app. I was like, okay. And I kid you not, they built it in less than a month, like something that other developers were quoting me like months and months
50K,
to make.
100K.
Yeah. And they were like, bro, we can knock this out in a month. I was like, prove it. And they did it. So shout out to Dylan and Daniel. They're studs. And then that kind of opened up the door for all these other things. I was like, hey, I'm gonna start an NFT project. And they're like, we already know blockchain. We can do it all. And I was like, okay. And then, you know, Tykes was born and, you know, we were #1 on OpenSea and like, they've built all these things. I'm like, hey, we've got these properties that I want to list on our own, like Airbnb. Can you guys make a marketplace? They're like, easy, just knock it out. It's like, these tech guys are incredible.
You figured out something around leverage, right? So like there's only 4 ways to get leverage. I learned this from Naval Ravikant. He was one of my mentors. I moved to San Francisco.
I've heard his name a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, Naval is like, he was on Joe Rogan, but I mean, I met Naval in 2008. Like when I think he just left, he built a company called ePinions, then started AngelList. I was the first person on AngelList from Canada, and it was actually an email list. It wasn't angel.co, I think the URL is. But AngelList is one of the top platforms today for fundraising for startups in the tech scene. But Naval is just a sage person. He talked about like the 4 C's of leverage, right? Content, collaboration, code, and capital. And you just touched on the code one.
Yeah.
See, most people now with AI and other technology, like I see a future, it's already there in my world, where every company will have a staff of developers to help with operations.
Yep.
Right? Building integrations, like literally sitting down.
They do everything for us.
Yeah. They just sit down with the person that's bottlenecked and say, oh, well, you're spending 10 hours a week doing this. Let us write the integration through Zapier or whatever. And just, it's about almost like a throughput enhancer. Like they just, it's operational. And I mean, these are true in like Facebook has them. They're called DevOps or SysOps. Like these are departments in software companies, but they're not present in, for the most part, like, you know, restaurant, you know, chain or.
Well, I mean, I'm not a software guy, but I knew these guys were important, like for everything we do. You know, they created so many different integrations for our sales team and leads and, you know, just the website.
Yeah, just like data enrichment. It's like, how do we get phone numbers for these contacts? We'll talk to the devs. They'll
figure it out.
They'll plug it all up. They'll find the data feed. And like this is where those investments in people, huge leverage.
Yeah. So you said Naval said content, which obviously we're doing right now.
Right now, perfect. SOPs would be another example. Standard operating procedures.
Okay, so content. We just said code, which we're doing.
Huge leverage.
Capital.
AI's in the code side right now. GPT and all that stuff.
Yep, AI.
Huge.
We're using that for a lot of different things. Copywriting is
capital.
Capital.
Everybody knows that one.
Yep, we've been using that forever
takes
in real
money
estate.
to make money. Yep.
And then the last
collaboration, which is my book.
Okay.
That's why I wrote the book.
Yeah, you just wrote a book called Buy Back Your Time.
Yep.
Everyone can see it. It's actually, guys, it's funny because I saw this book because I checked the Wealthy Way book. And they're both like always neck and neck.
We're doing a book swap today.
Yeah.
Wealthy Way showed up. You launched a month before mine, and it's like Amazon keeps recommending our books as a pack.
Yeah, like if you're, as a pack?
Yeah.
That's funny. And then we'll give them the podcast free.
Yeah. Yeah. Book buy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the collaboration side, most entrepreneurs are never taught how to hire, right? So the whole idea of the book is this thing called the buyback principle, which is we don't hire people to grow our business. We hire people to buy back our time. Because if you do the first, you don't get the second. But if you do the second, you get the first. So it's a calendar over capacity problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is what I learned with Naval, because like I moved to San Francisco 2008 after selling my first company, and I meet these like 23-year-old kids that are running $100 million companies. How do they do that?
That's crazy.
But when you see them operate, what's absolutely different, and they don't even realize they're doing this, it's because they raise venture, they're immediately buying back their time. Right. And right off the bat, they're hiring, a VP of product. They're hiring a VP of sales. They're literally building a team underneath them.
Yeah.
So that they can express their creativity and do the thing that only they can do. So the buyback principle starts with that. But then it's like, well, how do I do that when I'm just starting off? It's like, well, you got to look at your calendar. You got to ask yourself, what are the things I'm doing that take my energy, that have the lowest cost to pay somebody else to do? That's the bucket of stuff you should start with hiring. You should never hire somebody to the side or above you. You should always hire things that have the biggest swath of time that can come out of your calendar. And then it's to fill it up.
Yeah.
And most people...
You don't just do nothing.
No, and most people wouldn't even know what to do if I gave them a week, a day back. What would they do? They'd be like...
Yeah, because they don't understand high ROI task.
No,
that they
don't understand strategy. They don't understand investment. Like, you probably get this asked all the time. I got an extra $100,000. What should I do with my money?
Yeah.
Invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Like, $20,000 in yourself, $80,000 into the business idea. But like, they don't even understand the idea of skills and beliefs and character traits to build themselves up to become the person who can deal with more, which is what Silicon Valley is really good at. Is you're almost forced into these high growth, hyper growth companies to figure out how to solve these major problems. But luckily you have a board, you have advisors, you have a team that's capable.
Already done it.
Yeah. So they're giving you indirectly build what a lot of us have to build on our own: mentorships, advisors, education. There it's kind of built into the model. But yeah, that's to me is like the biggest opportunity, is that learn how to buy back your time at the least investment for the things that light you up, to then go and invest to fill it with things that only like that build you up so you have more to give to your business, not go watch a bunch of Netflix or chill out on a beach.
Exactly. Well, I did just come from Cabo chilling on the beach, but nonetheless, I agree, because when I first, I think everyone mostly starts out as a solopreneur in most cases, and you're just, grinding, doing everything yourself. And I remember, I got started flipping houses. That was my first successful thing. And, I was doing everything. I was doing project management. I was listing the properties. I was finding the deals. I was, doing all this stuff. And eventually I was like, dude, really this business is going to grow based on how many deals I get. That's what it is.
One thing.
Yeah. And I was like, so how do I just only do that? Because I'm good at finding deals. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go hire a project manager.
Was that your first hire?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I realized I was running around all these properties, and that was taking me like 5 hours a day.
Yeah, it's called the runner. My brother was a home builder, and I watched him do the same thing, where he had all these construction projects. He would spend a day or two a week just driving and bringing tools and meeting people on site. And
that was me. And I was like, dude, if I just delegate this out, I could go pay somebody $1,000 a project, and somebody will go do it part-time.
Own it.
And so I did that. And then I was like, wait, I'm spending a lot of time putting in these listings and other things. I was like, let me go pay a listing agent to do that. And then all of a sudden I was like, dude, I got all this time. I can go find deals. And that was how scale happened.
Bought back your time, reinvested in the thing that only you could do, which is the deal finding.
Yeah.
That's the big idea that I hope people hear, is that there's a thing you're doing that actually makes the business grow.
Yeah.
And to the degree that you free up your time to just do that is the problem. But with that, I mean, you've probably heard it. Well, how do you find these people, and how do you trust them? And what about if they mess up and all? It's like, I call those complexity ceilings. Like, you're going to hit a complexity ceiling and you either decide to figure out how to solve it. But my question is, has anybody in the world ever solved this? And if the answer is yes, it's been solved. Go learn how.
Yeah.
But for you to say to me like, oh, how do I have an assistant manage my inbox? It's like, thousands of people every day have assistants manage your inbox.
Go get a VA.
Yeah. Hit the Googles and you'll find it.
Yeah. Yeah. People, they overthink it, and they think about all the things that could go wrong. And, all of a sudden there's just like, bro, just when something does go wrong, it's not that bad. Just solve it.
And usually, I mean, I remember Oprah getting sued once for like $1 billion from Mad Cow. This is like back in the day. She said something on her show and pissed off the meat people. And she was getting sued, and somebody asked her, it was like, aren't you like upset you're getting sued for $1 billion? And she's like, I'm actually kind of grateful that I'm the kind of person that could get sued for $1 billion.
Yeah.
So like, the problems that people are fearing having are actually high quality problems, considering you don't have any of those problems today because you don't have anything meaningful going on in your life.
Yeah.
So like, to me, I actually want my problems to get bigger.
Yeah.
I call them factors of 10.
Okay.
When you start off, it's a $10 problem. And sometimes that like throws, you know, my cell phone bill was an extra $100. It's double what it should have been. And people like, it ruins their day. It's like, are you seriously going to, you know, or it's like $1,000 problem. Like, people should hope to have higher quality problems because it means their business is in a different realm.
I actually was telling this story on the podcast, you know, like the first time I had $1 million problem was in like 2018, and a bunch of flips I bought were going
Is that a
bad.
tax thing?
No, it wasn't a
Okay,
tax thing.
because usually when there's
The $1
big
million
numbers
problem
involved,
is
it's
a
tax thing. Yeah.
No, I own a tax firm, so
Okay,
hopefully
you know.
it's not a tax
It'd be
thing.
off-brand if it was.
Yeah, but we do see people who come like, dude, what do I do? And I'm like, you should have hired us a year ago. But nonetheless, yeah, basically this problem was the real estate market slowed. They raised interest rates. We just saw that again.
Yeah.
And I wasn't ready for it. I had never experienced that. And so like all these properties I thought I was going to go make 20 grand on per property, ended up losing money. And, you know, we had cash flow problems. I'm like, dude, this is like $1 million problem. How am I going to solve this? And obviously I did solve it and got through it. And I was like, man, I learned a lot from that problem. Like, I need to make sure I'm watching my cash flow. I can't be commingling funds. Like, I was commingling rehab funds with, you know, purchase funds. And like, it was just all the stuff that I never experienced. You know, eventually, obviously I got through it. Things were good. I started to do things I had never done before, like wholesale and all this other stuff. And it prepared me for this go around in 2022 when things slowed again and they doubled interest rates. And
You've seen the playbook. You've seen it happen.
Yeah,
before,
and it was far more severe this time. But this time I was prepared. I had already gone through it and I understood what to do. But, you know, then we've had other problems. I'm like, all right, this could potentially be a $10 million problem, to your point of tens. And I was like, how do I solve this? And like going through a $10 million problem sucked, like a lot. You know, going through the $1 million problem sucked a lot. But I literally thought about what you had just said without knowing it. And I was like, you know, though, Elon Musk just bought Twitter. He's got like a $44 billion problem.
Yeah,
like
huge.
Twitter is such a mess right now. And he like didn't have to do it. He could have totally been chill, just running Tesla and doing everything else.
Yeah,
but
it's not like he wasn't busy.
Yeah, he chose to take on this massive problem, overpay, and deal with this. I was like, Elon Musk at one point had to solve $1 million problem, then a $10 million problem. And I was like, if I ever see myself being a billionaire, do I think I can't solve a $10 million problem? If I can't, then I'll never be a billionaire. Hey, if you're looking to grow your real estate investing business, whether you're just getting started trying to get your first deal or you're trying to scale and get to the next level, you need to join us at Wealthy Investor. We've got events every single quarter that are absolutely crazy. We've got online coaching programs where we have Zoom calls, a community every single week. We give you everything you need to know to start your business, scripts, processes, SOPs, all of it. It's for you so that you can dominate. So if you want to learn more about how to join our community and be mentored by me and some of our top coaches and be around other students who are absolutely crushing it, go to wealthyinvestor.com, apply for a free call with my team. Once again, wealthyinvestor.com, apply for a call today.
I saw you actually talk about that, the billion, with Brad Lee, I believe, and Grant.
Yep.
And it seemed like there was something switch for you, where it's like it wasn't on your radar, and then you're like, no, I think I could do this.
Yeah.
What set of beliefs do you think got instilled or came to fruition? That is it a timeline thing? Like, because I think some people don't realize that if they give themselves enough time and they show up consistently and they just look at a trend line, like it's not crazy, right?
No,
Because it's exponential. People don't realize like the later in your life. I'm 43. I've been able to create more value in the last 3 years than the previous 10.
Right.
Because relationships, resources, knowledge, experience.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not linear.
No.
Like,
And
is that kind of what happened for you?
that and I like, so even though I say I'm not a tech guy, I study tech a lot. So like I'm a believer in Moore's law. And I think that
Doubling every 16
everything
months,
is exponential, right? Especially in tech. And like to your point too, it's like, yeah, the last 2 years have been greater than my entire life to this point. And it's like, I have so many more skills today. I have so many more resources today and everything. What's the next 2 years going to be like?
Watching Grant execute his like 10X branding stuff has been really fascinating for me. Just like seeing him collaborate in a way, because I know a lot of people went, I think you were there when he brought everybody in, and I talked to Chandler, I think Chandler Bolt was there.
He was here like 2 weeks ago.
Vargas was there, Pete, at Grant's thing. And it was just like the idea of getting better even at collaborations.
Yeah.
Like, I'm bad at that. Like I just announced my new fund, $100 million fund to buy software companies. And I did it with my partner, Kevin, because prior to that, I would have wanted to do it just me. But I don't have the time in my schedule to do it. So it was kind of like I was trying to, listen to my own advice and buy back my time. And I'm seeing how in the future that will be a huge unlock.
Yeah.
Of like not having to be the guy, the CEO, and just instead being a partner and supporting projects the way I know best.
Yeah.
And I'm 100%. Seeing you, I mean, I walked around here. It's super impressive. Like you've just got a lot of stuff. And I know there's people behind that because there's no way you can sit here, talk to me and have that run.
Yeah, no, it's 100% right. Right before this podcast, I was golfing and it was great. And then, we walk on set and like they got everything we need. They're already showing you around. I'm like, all right, it's showtime.
Let's shoot.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then, we're going to Dave's after this, Dave Meltzer's, and yeah, it's leverage, right? Like you're talking about. But yeah, I think for me, what clicked was, for one, I never really cared because honestly, money hasn't motivated me to do anything. Like I obviously enjoy making money and building businesses, but like I'm good. I was good when I had $1 million. I was good when I was making a couple $100,000 a year. Like I've always been good.
Yeah.
And so it's like making more money or becoming a billionaire and having status doesn't do anything for me. So it just more so was like, wow, yeah, I guess like the trajectory I'm on with just exponential growth and where I'm at today at 33 is like, yeah, I mean, it's like there's a really good chance it could happen. And it was just like, yeah, I never really envisioned because it just wasn't a goal.
Yeah. And it's interesting because like, I don't think having like what I optimize for, I call an optimization routine because I'm a software nerd. And it's really like, what is the engine, right? Somebody asked me last night, they're like, what's your number? And I go, I don't have a number. I have a structure. I have a process, right? And as long as the process, so the subtitle of my book is Get Unstuck, Reclaim Your Freedom, and Build Your Empire. Yep. The word empire really messes with people, especially the like solopreneurs and the creatives, because they're like, that seems big, that seems heavy. In my definition of it, it's just a life of unlimited creation you never have to retire from.
Yeah.
I think everybody wants that.
You don't want to retire, do you?
It's not even like, it's like you saying, do you still want to be you?
Yeah.
Like there's no retirement because literally what I get to do, because I don't have to do it, is spend time with people that inspire me, that I learn from, that I get to be curious with, that I can partner with. And I even talk about in the book, it's like entrepreneurs are going to build. They're creators for a reason. So like if you actually sold your company and now you're beachside at a Ritz-Carlton, wherever, you're literally by noon, you're going to be like coming up with a new like lawn chair design and hiring the pool boy as your first employee. Like that's just what we do.
Yeah.
So instead of fighting it, just create a structure where you don't have to work if you don't want to, but when you do, it's an amplifier.
Exactly.
And that's been my life for a long time. And that's why the buyback principle has just been present, because I've never wanted to be the person the business should never be dependent on me to move forward. And I'm willing to deploy capital so that I'm not being dependent. So like I hire CEOs to run companies now. In our home life, we have a house manager that's responsible for she's like the CEO of all our personal assets, my wife and I's, and literally everything. And then I have my executive assistant that like manages my calendar, my time, so that I can run through the world as fast as possible and have somebody helping connect. But I don't want to slow down. Like I even tell my team often, it's like, you're making me walk right now. I want to run.
Yeah.
So help me. Like you need to hire somebody. Like, what are we doing? Because I know the best ROI of my time is just being focused on the things that light me up, that create the most opportunity for everybody around me.
Yeah. If you enjoy doing what you're doing, the results will they'll be fine.
As long as you know how to create value. But I mean, nobody would get to a place where they could do what they love to do and have a living if they didn't know how to do that.
Right.
Like that part's true.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
you need to figure that part out.
So we were talking about this earlier, and I'll just whatever. I don't care. I'll say it on live. So you had dinner with a bunch of guys in Vegas, right? And one of them was Andre Jick, who's a friend of mine, and I've collabed with him on different things. And I was like, yeah, so Andre and Graham, they're really all about saving money, and just kind of like helping people save money. And you and I both looked at each other and we're like, yeah, we don't even know what that means. Like,
it was fascinating because I literally, and Andre is just a beautiful person, super talented. And then I didn't know much about him, but I went and binge watched his videos this morning and I was like, oh, it's like legit saving money. Yeah. Like, he's talking about different passive income stuff and he's talking hundreds of dollars here and hundreds of dollars there. And I get it because for that audience that he's serving, that's that they don't even know how to do that right.
Right.
But I remember last night asking him, I was like, so do you teach them how to like create more? He goes, oh no, I don't touch that. Cause that's like a different category of stuff. And I'm like, so you don't help them to like be more valuable? Like at least like as an individual, cause like my whole book's on that is literally like your time is worth X. How do you make it? I talk about this thing called the buyback rate. Like how do you make your buyback rate higher and higher every year? Yeah. And it was like a no-go zone, and I find it fascinating. It's just a different mentality.
It is. Like it never has crossed my mind to be like, well, how do I fit my lifestyle in this like box of like, I'm capped.
Constraint.
Yeah.
Capital.
Yeah. And it's like, well, no, actually, how do I just like think about what I want and how to get it?
Resourcefulness.
And that's it.
Yeah.
But, most people don't think like that. And I'm like, dude, anybody can become more valuable. Just learn new skills and you're more valuable and execute.
But this is the interesting part because like I had an entrepreneur ask me this morning, they're like, I wanted to do this. It was literally because real estate's obviously like the first thing people think about. And they go, well, like I need money. I heard I need money. I want to do Airbnb. I heard I need 10 grand. It's like, no. What do you mean? No, you need to be resourceful.
Yeah.
Somebody has 10 grand and don't know what to do with it. Trust me, there's a lot of cash in people's bank accounts. And if you have an opportunity, and then I explained to him like wholesaling. I'm not in any of this. This is your world. But I talk to enough people to act like an expert on the internet. And I was like saying, you could like literally get a deal under contract and sell it and have no risk, no exposure, make money. And it's just like when people hear this stuff, they think you're a genius. But it's like, no, it's how the world works. It's when you start off, you have a lot of time. It's why 20-year-olds will never read my book because they have a lot of time. They do not value their time the way a 35-year-old or a 40-year-old. Their 40 is this magic number.
Okay.
When you're on like the back half of your life and you start going, I got to stop mowing my own lawn. I got to stop managing.
I've done this way too long.
It's like I don't have time for my kids. I'm out of shape. Like I'm bottlenecking my team. Like at 40, I feel like that entrepreneur finally gets it. I wish the 20-year-olds did, but it's just a fact that they have more time than dollars. But this is also the reason why when you're younger, you should invest that time to find the opportunities, to be resourceful, to then build some kind of like, revenue generating opportunities and then buy back more time.
Mm-hmm. No, 1,000% I agree. And, the wealthy way is a lot about time management and really making sure your priorities are in line with what's important to you, right? Because it's like, as you know, lots of entrepreneurs we see, they're just out of shape, sloppy, relationships soft. And it's like, bro, well, you can't say you value your health. You don't. You cannot say you value your family if you don't spend any time with them, right?
Calendar does not lie.
Yeah. And so the wealthy way is really about like, hey, like how do we set these priorities and goals and schedule and different things so that we end up doing the things that we, are a priority important to us, right?
Yeah.
And let the chips fall where they may. And then it ends up making you, to your point, more resourceful where it's like, well, okay, if I do, not have to, but I'm going to spend this amount of time with my family, and I am going to work out an hour every day, and I am going to do these things, I have less time to work now. How do I still do what I need to do?
It's a beautiful thing. It's a forcing function. And I think people don't inherently have those forcing functions in them life to get them. Like creativity is a byproduct of constraints, and it always has been. We've all done our best work the day before we got to go on a trip for 2 weeks.
Exactly.
The day before you get on a flight to go away for 2 weeks is usually the most productive day of your month.
Yeah.
And I think like smart entrepreneurs figure out how to create these forcing functions of constraints to actually breed the creativity and the resourcefulness to unlock stuff. And it's like, I like thinking about it in questions, like asking the question, if somebody bought my business tomorrow that knew my industry, what's the first thing they would change? And why haven't I made that decision?
Right.
Like those kind of questions, or like, how do I triple my YouTube subscribers without spending any more time producing videos? Right? Like adding the question of the outcome, but adding the constraint to it is actually where the best ideas are going to come from, not just throwing money at problems.
Yeah, it reminds me of a thing from a book called The Road Less Stupid.
So good, Keith Cunningham.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the book of questions that every entrepreneur should read.
Yeah, you start asking yourself difficult questions and you're
Thinking
like,
time.
hey, how do I solve this? And then, you become creative. I've done that many, many times. I do think time at least once a month.
I think Keith is like one of the gems in the entrepreneurial world that a lot of people don't know as much. Like a lot more people should know who he is.
Yeah. I'm going to interview him. Team, make sure we write Keith Cunningham on, and I want to get him on the show.
That'd be awesome.
Because he's changed
I haven't even
my
seen
life.
him do a lot of content.
No, he could walk down the street. I don't know who he is.
I've seen him once on stage at Tony Robbins.
Oh, okay.
That was it.
That's funny.
And I've read the 3, I think Keys of the Vault. Like I've read 3 of his books.
Oh, he's got multiple books.
Yes.
Dude, I've only read
Keys of the
one.
Vault is an awesome one.
I'm going to check him out.
Yeah.
So you have also mentored a lot of these high profile guys. Why did they hire you?
If you're in software or want to do software, there's a good chance you're going to come across my name. Yeah. Cause it's a niche. Like it's the thing I've always done for 25 years. And when I started coaching 5 years ago, I started SAAS Academy. I started doing the content stuff. I didn't know anything about it. I started a YouTube channel and then Instagram and all this stuff. But when they came to my stuff, they also realized like, oh, this is somebody that actually like is doing it, right? Like not only had built and exited my own companies, but I've invested in 50 plus software companies. Like I did a deal this morning. I was on a board meeting. I just raised my $100 million fund. Like I know I can go into the deep technical side of AI and neural nets and how to write code against that. And I can also talk about like net revenue retention at the metrics.
The business
yeah.
side.
Like it's just like, I just one day woke up and in our community, we had like 40 real estate SaaS companies. Yeah. And it was funny because they were like, oh, I want to be in your thing, but I heard our competitors there. It's like, well, we don't have a rule against this. And if I was you, I'd want to learn the stuff they're learning because we do have the best stuff. So, that's kind of how we've had to resolve that. But yeah, I think it's just if you do something like tip of the spear, right? I remember watching Greg Glassman, who is a founder of CrossFit, talk about this, where he's like, if you build a program for the tip of the spear individual, but you make it approachable through what they called like variation, or it's not, so there's the normal way and then there's like the modified way, then you will be known. So like CrossFit started in the Navy SEALs kind of like training community, like a lot of the early CrossFitters, and that's why a lot of the CrossFit workouts are named actually after like fallen veterans. And I think that's just a good way to think about it in life. Naval talks about third level of luck. This will be actually interesting to people listening, where when you start off and you're lucky, people say, well, the harder I work, the luckier I got. Some people just have normal level luck, level 1 luck, which is I won the lottery, right? Okay. That's luck, level 1. Okay. Happens to people. Great. You can't repeat it. Level 2 luck is I work really hard and I got lucky, right? And this is what we all aspire, we all say like, congrats. Like, well, I got lucky in many ways. Like I was born in the US, my parents, all these things, got lucky. Level 3 luck. And Naval taught me this. He goes, this is Warren Buffett luck. This is when you are so masterful at your craft that you attract other people's luck. So Warren gets access to deals that no other buyers get access to because he's Warren Buffett, because he's tip of the spear. So my philosophy has always been, if I'm going to do something, and that's why I say yes to very few things, because I only want to do it if I could be world class.
Right.
Only world class. I don't do any project like Big Band software that we just announced, our buy hold fund, world class. Like I'm going after Vista private equity, and I love the founder. Like Vista is one of the top in the space of software acquisitions, but we're going to build the best thing. And so like, I think just whoever you are, wherever you're starting, if it's video editing or photography or real estate, or just like saying, I want to be the best at something and put the time in, it's a winning recipe, because like you'll just inherently attract other people that are B and C players that want to collaborate with you. So they bring you their luck because you're the guy, right? You're getting access to stuff that is other people's luck because of who you are and the brand you're building. Yeah. And I think that's when Naval explained that to me, I was like, okay, I think I could do that. I could be known at least a software guy. So I think that's probably one of the big reasons, people turn to me.
So I had Neil Patel sitting here.
Neil's awesome. I met Neil when he was 18 running around a VC party at Sequoia on Sand Hill Road, making a lot of noise.
Neil was telling me on the podcast, he was like, Ryan, look, he basically said the same thing. He's like, I am a B2B software guy. It's what I'm good at. It's what I know. He's like, I've bought real estate, but you're way better than me at real estate. I just don't know it. And then he just used some examples. He's like, I'm building my house right now. It costs me way more than what's going to cost you because you have the expertise. And he's like, if I was you, I would just focus on doing real estate better, right? And so like where I'm at in my life is, number one, I'm honestly like a new entrepreneur because I played pro baseball my whole life. I didn't care about business or anything. I retired in 2017. So I really started focusing on business the last 5-6 years. And I'm finding myself as an entrepreneur. I'm like, okay, like real estate. I know I can make money in real estate, and I've done it many, many times, time and time again. And then I get into info, and I'm like, dude, we're actually really good at building, communities and education and events and all the things that info is. And for those who don't know, info would just be education, right? Yeah. And then I launched a really good NFT project, and I'm like, okay, I kind of like tech too. And then, we're about to go into acquisitions and buy stuff. And I'm like, okay, what's our target? I'm like, all right, I'll buy info. Like we know that game, and I'll buy anything real estate related. I know real estate.
Easy peasy, yeah.
And like, those are my two core focuses. But I can't help but think like, man, though, like the tech side is something like I don't nerd out over code, but like I nerd out over
product.
Yeah, like the product.
I can tell you've got a design aesthetic. Like even just watching your set and you're like, I can tell people that care about product. Here's what I usually recommend to people is, especially because I coach a lot of like the info people. I call it the wisdom economy. All these like folks that have audiences is. There's a huge opportunity for them to just find the earliest stage software companies. And I've got them. I have 1,000 clients. So like they could call me up and I just tell them like, here are the 5 that you should consider. Then just buy it. Yeah. Then you have a team of 3, you have distribution, and that is literally 1 + 1 = 5, right? You can buy it, no money out of pocket.
So I'm going to go buy a real estate SaaS company.
100%.
Distribute it to my community,
rename
my audience.
It, brand it, wealthy platform.
Wealthy CRM.
Yeah, wealthy CRM. Right. No brainer.
We've thought about that.
There's so many. I get them all the time. They're literally in my accelerator program that are like, oh, we're going to build the next thing. And they see what people did on Podio and all these other platforms. And they just like,
Podio sucks so bad.
I know, it's so bad. And, and technically it's not SaaS, or like they build. So like our biggest problem with our team is this identifying clients that say they're SaaS that are really a white labeled go high level. Like that is our current problem.
Yeah. Because I've seen people do that, like even white labeling Salesforce.
It's not
And I'm like, you don't even have a product.
No, if you can't change the code, it doesn't work for me, right? Some of them will argue no code works, and I will give them that, but not. But there's literally, what happens is you have a programmer and his cousin that gets into real estate, and he's like, hey, buddy, you should build this with me. So, but they don't know how to do marketing, right? They're just like the domain experts. They partner with you or you buy their company, it's game over. And you can like give them, like keep them, they can keep 10%.
Yeah.
That 10% with you is worth a lot more than 100% without you.
By themselves.
Yeah. So that I think that is the biggest opportunity for non-software people to get into software, least amount of risk, biggest upside.
When I have all these things I've already built.
Yep. You've already got distribution and plugging in. And that's why when I watch Grant start to do the 10X partnerships and build that network, I was like, oh, that's really smart. Right. He's world-class at making a lot of noise, and he has a brand and people trust it. And then he finds these people that have these like decent 2-3 million year businesses, and he adds zeros to those revenue numbers. Right. Yeah. And then all of a sudden what most people don't understand that are not in like the scale empire stuff is they don't understand that the valuations go up like it's crazy. Cause like a software company that's doing $1 million in revenue, if it's got EBITDA of like 20-30%, it might be worth $1 million, right? Yeah. But if it's doing 5, it's worth a whole lot more. If it's doing 10, it's like 10x top line. So it's worth 100 million. so like buying.
So that's probably like where Becker was, because he sold for like 100.
You're the third person that's asked me what he sold for. I can't disclose because I never.
I think I saw it. He sold for like 105.
Okay, if he's publicly disclaimed it, then yeah.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
I can't confirm it because I haven't seen it. I shouldn't have said that.
I'm pretty certain he publicly has said.
Yeah,
that's
there's strategic and financial buyers, but I always work with my clients on a strategic, and that's usually the number. Most of my clients that get to 10 million, we look for.
And you're talking 10 million top line.
Top line.
That's not even EBITDA. That's crazy.
It's the tech space. Now it's a rule of 40, so it's like profit and growth. So you can't sell. You won't get a.
You can't have done 10 million 3 years in a row.
No, that's flat
bad.
line, zero bad. Not only that, it's a thing called revenue retention. Like a lot of people have high churn, right? If you're 8-9% a month customer churn, that means every 10 months you're losing 100% of your customer base. Some people in the real estate biz op space, because their software is kind of like biz op-y, it makes it really tough to build retention.
Right.
So companies that, there's so many of them, but like one of my clients, Simple Consign, I hope they have announced it, but anyways, they might be going through a process, and they sell to consignment shops, but their retention of a customer, right? It's a retail. It's like a Shopify for consignment. It's like, but it's like those are the businesses that get, even the transaction. So like most people don't realize this in software, like a ClickFunnels or Shopify, the revenue that goes through the platform, if they're the merchant, is worth sometimes more than the actual multiple on the MRR of the revenue.
Wow.
Yeah. So most people don't know this. So like one of my clients, Service Autopilot, Jonathan, they exited. I don't think it was ever public, but what we kind of numbers we were just talking about. And 30% of the value came from the fact that they were collecting payments through their customer. Service Autopilot is a platform for any retail.
Is it because the buyer knows they can monetize that?
The buyer was a credit card company.
Right.
And they know, I forget the number because my buddy, one of my other clients, Daryl, he has a payment, a credit card, some AI that helps you collect more, like not having churn on your credit card declines.
Yeah.
He said that it's 20x multiple on the fees. So Stripe that takes 2.5%, their multiple of their business is 20 times that number that they collect on a monthly basis.
And that's why Stripe's worth billions.
That's why. So most people don't understand that. If you have a software company and you have the ability to send an invoice and collect payment through your platform and you don't do it, you're literally leaving money on the table.
By using Stripe.
Yeah. Well, you can negotiate. What most people do is they'll negotiate with Stripe and get the discounted fee and then keep the delta.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the way to do it. That's how ClickFunnels done it. They've been public about it, and many of my other clients.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or find a different merchant that wants to do it and then just run the numbers through, like the transactions through that merchant.
Right. That makes sense. So, as I think about the SaaS space versus the info space or these other things, like, the reason I've been drawn to real estate was, you can make fat chunks of cash real quick, and then, whether you're flipping or wholesaling, and then if you want to build long-term wealth, you can start taking those chunks of cash, buying rental properties, whatever, right? Info's the same way. Fat chunks of cash up front, and then, use that money for whatever you want to do. Growth, real estate investments,
totally,
whatever. SaaS, every time I look at it, I'm like, dude, I got to beg somebody to pay me, $50 a month versus people pay me $30K one time right now. I think it's like a hard mental hurdle to get through.
Yeah. I mean, you also got to decide what product and market price point you want to be in. So my favorite B2B SaaS is $200 a month.
Okay.
Right. $2,400 a year annual contract value, something that's sticky, right? I don't like MarTech for that reason, marketing technology, because it's not sticky, right? I want something that you use to run your business, financial software. Right? Like
CRM.
It's like an octopus. Once it's in, try to rip it out. Like people hate software like Confusionsoft.
Yeah.
But they pay. That's what I called it for a long time. And but try to move platforms.
Yeah.
It's in like there's no way.
We just switched to HubSpot for everything. And
good move though. Good
move. It's still really hard.
Yeah.
It's like
super hard.
Every CRM
takes
we've
3 times as long.
Yeah.
Have to hire consultants.
Super hard. We're paying thousands a month.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is why HubSpot's worth so much. We can't move.
Yeah. The revenue retention's high. They have good expansion revenue. So once you're in, you'll start feeling like, oh, now we have to pay an extra $100 a month for this add-on, which I find beautiful as a software guy. I love the way they've built their pricing matrix and their different hubs. And but the truth is you don't mind paying it because if you're using that feature, you're making more money. That's the best way to do it is align your pricing.
It's a win-win.
A $200 a month product that you can sell with a light sales motion, like a light phone call and a demo with like a 21 day average time to close, those are the most beautiful SaaS companies to build.
Right.
So it's just a decision up front. It's like, do you want to build something that you could sell for $30 a month, or do you want to try to figure out where's the
So you think
opportunity?
higher ticket's always better?
It's just higher gross margin, higher meat
Quality
on the bones,
of a customer.
all of it. Yeah, it's like, I don't want tire kickers. That's why like some people in the info space make the mistake of leading with a webinar or an info product and bundling the software into it. Okay. You could probably point to a dozen people like this.
Yep.
The challenge is that they didn't buy the software.
Right. So
they bought the transformation.
software.
They bought the vehicle. And then, at the end of the 12-month free access to the software, 80% leave.
Wow.
If you have a 20% annual retention, you don't have a software business. You're just a really good salesperson.
Yeah.
So my whole thing, and this is why early days, and I know I've talked publicly, Ryan Levesque, I worked with him on Bucket.io, which is his like segmentation software. And early days, he was like, okay, so do we sell this for like annually $3,000? And I go, you could, but the problem is you're not going to learn that way.
Yeah.
I'd much rather charge per month and really go through the paces of like, how does our onboarding work? What is the customer saying? Let's watch what features they're using, because if they decide after 2 months to cancel, that's a good feedback point. It's going to hurt, but at least you're going to know.
So you don't believe in allowing people to pay for a year?
Not initially. I want to learn first.
Okay.
Product market fit only comes with feedback.
Got it.
So I want product market fit first. Once I know that I have product market fit, and you can get it through just watching utilization too. You don't have to charge a lot, but I can see if somebody uses the product if I have retention. Right. So, I mean, you can just say, when's the last time they logged in? If you do an analysis and it's like day 1, 99%, day 2, 85%, day 3, and it's like, they're not using the software, and it just goes to 0. You don't have retention.
Yeah.
So but once you have that, dude, I teach my clients to do multi-year contracts.
Oh, okay.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Collect that cash up front.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
charge
we had
a setup
like
fee.
something with HubSpot. I don't even remember what it was.
No. Quarterly billing's the new hotness, right? So like getting people to do quarterly renewals instead of monthly, right? Or like but literally my favorite is charging a setup fee. Because if you can charge a $1,000 setup fee, I don't know if HubSpot used to call it like a coaching fee to like onboard, but it was like $2,000, right? Other softwares have done the same in this space. It covers your CAC.
Yeah.
So you liquidate your cost to acquire a customer.
Yep.
So like software can actually get really interesting, even though people that have been burned, it's just they didn't understand those little tweaks that make the whole thing work. Right. Like not selling $15 a month subscriptions. Like it takes a whole lot of customers to make real money at $15 a month.
Yeah, I ain't doing that. So I saw in the real estate space, like probably the most recent sale was PropStream.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like 100-some million.
Yeah.
And, I have friends who own these other real estate companies, and they saw that and they're like licking their chops. And obviously things have like really
quiet down.
Yeah. With just any kind of acquisition, multiples and everything. And I know for a fact, most of these real estate software companies have terrible churn, right? Because for one, I've seen it when I affiliate them, I can just see the churn drop off if I were to do nothing.
Fees, yeah.
Right. So it's like, I wonder if it's like unique to real estate to have this issue.
It's not unique to real estate. It's unique to anybody trying to lead with the biz op. And unfortunately, a lot of people selling software in real estate, all the other big categories. I mean, relationships, crypto, stock investing, like those are the big like info. Yeah. But real estate's the one that's like the most business opportunity style. And network marketing plus SaaS platforms would have the same problem. The fix though is to understand that not all customers are treated the same. So you can use the marketing to get people into your product, but then you want to build the product suite. You want to make sure that the feature set allows you to move a customer along. So the worst part is where you sell a product to a newbie real estate investor, right? That as soon as they become meaningful, they leave for something else.
Right.
So you literally did all the work to acquire the customer, and then they're now being successful in their real estate stuff, and they leave for the more powerful tool.
Right.
So that's the mistake. So every software company typically starts at the bottom of the market, think about Dropbox. And I don't know if you remember, but Dropbox started, it was like consumer.
Okay.
It was like simple syncing of files.
Free.
Yeah. And then they eventually went to SMB, and then they went to enterprise. And that's Salesforce. That's HubSpot started there. HubSpot sold to Marketing Mary. It was like the solo marketing person in a 12-person company.
Okay.
And then eventually added enough feature set because you just can't afford to do the features that are required to sell to a mid-market customer or an enterprise customer when you start. So you start at the bottom, and then you create the product so that it can keep going with the customer lifetime. And then you can even create hubs. That's what HubSpot's done, right? They got the support stuff. They added the sales stuff on top of their CRM, but they started as an SEO website builder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like for a guy like Alex Becker, right? He has Hyros, which we use.
Yeah.
And he just sold it. I don't know how much of his equity he sold, but I assume he owns still a decent portion.
For sure, yeah.
Because I'm guessing he's going to get another, what they call second bite at the apple.
Yeah, usually I can't speak to Alex's deal, but it's about 20%. Anytime you buy a company, usually they ask you to keep 20% equity in the platform.
And you're going to still run it for the next however many years.
Not necessarily run it. So I know he's publicly announced that he's brought in a CEO, Inman, to run it.
Oh, has he? Okay.
Yeah, to be CEO, which is a very smart move. I'm really pumped for him because he is such a marketer and a product mind.
Yeah.
Like buying back your time and doing the thing that only you can do, brilliant. And I think most software CEOs should get there a lot faster because, Zuckerberg was smart. This is literally once you understand the pattern, you'll see it everywhere. Steve brought in Tim Cook, Steve Jobs.
Yep.
Zuckerberg brought in Sheryl Sandberg. Larry and Sergey at Google brought in Eric Schmidt. Literally every Larry Ellison had a similar person. So like understanding when you bring in the person to operate the business so that you could be the innovator. Like it's very rare. Like I actually call this like the Hall of Fame of entrepreneurship is to be a founder of a company and still be CEO when you bring it public. It's actually very rarefied air.
Wow.
Yeah. Cause most entrepreneurs are not able to grow through the organizational change that's required. It's just, and not to say they should either, because like the person that starts and scales is not the person that operates and grows. Like it's a different skill set.
Man, when you develop a good social media following, you're afforded to make mistakes and not do the things that like a normal business has to do.
Yeah.
And so with like recruiting, it was like, hey, well, I'll just make a post and we'll get tons of leads who are already super qualified and believers and everything else. And, basically Layla's like, yeah, but there comes a point where like the person you need doesn't know you.
Yeah.
And it's true.
And they got to come with the playbooks.
Yeah. Like they're not following you. They're already like working for some corporate company.
Pull them. Yeah.
Yep. And so like my COO now across my parent company, his name is Javi. He came from the tech world. And so he spent 8 years, he would spend 1 year at a company, go to the next company. And like, so he's been through all these different companies. And I remember like, he just started hiring people off LinkedIn off the bat, like poaching people and all these things. And we were getting some like talented people. I was like, dang, dude, where are you finding all these people? He's like, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is just how it is in tech. And I was like, wow, all right, let's do it.
One of my favorite strategies for hiring off LinkedIn, because like there's the CEOs, there's 3 jobs we should be doing: vision, people, and money. That's like when people are like, I'm CEO, what am I should be doing? Making sure you're looking around the corner, vision, making sure you're managing the money, right? Inspect what you expect, and people, like a lot of recruiting and stuff. And like every time we recruit, we always identify about 5 companies that we think have the talent, right? Whatever the role is, if it's product or engineering or whatever, we're like, hey, these 5 companies have the talent we want. And then what we do is we call people that previously worked in. So on LinkedIn, you can actually search engineer, Google, previously worked at Google.
Right.
And then I ask them for advice. So I'm trying to hire an AI data scientist, how would you, if you were me, try to recruit that person? And usually they start giving you names of people.
Yeah, this guy would be interested.
And then I called them up and I say, I was just talking to Bob, and Bob said that you would know the answer to these crazy questions we have about our architecture. And then Bob's...
the turnover in tech is crazy.
It's almost like I had to get used to it. I remember like, it's gotten better because the market's adjusted, 10% layoffs at Amazon, all this stuff. But for 5 years, I've been on the receiving end of this feeling of people staring at me going, what have you done for me lately?
Exactly.
And every 12 to 16 months, it's normal for them to just bounce. And like when we're hiring and I'm seeing on LinkedIn their resume, and it's literally every 12 months, I'm just like, I remember this one girl, she was applying for like head of customer success. And I was like, I mean, it's a weird question, but like, why are you going to stay? And she's like, I don't know if I will. And I'm like, I don't even know what to do with this anymore. Like it got to a point where I called my head of people and I was just like, is this the new norm? Like, do we have to just build a company that's super agile?
Everyone's
and fluid?
just on a yearly contract.
Yeah. Like, is this just there's no like long-term event? And he's like, pretty much right now. And I was like, all right, I can't fight it. I'm just going to.
It is what it is.
Yeah. But it's gotten a lot better, like 10 times better. And it just feels fair now. It feels like a collaboration instead of like being at the mercy of
just the next poaching.
Yeah. Just is. Funny. Yeah. Until people start getting poached again.
That's funny. Well, dude, it's been a lot of fun talking to you, man. I think we share a lot of similar ideology and everything else, man. So I'm excited to get to know you now and see what kind of ventures we can have. I would love to collaborate, like you said.
Dude, anytime you want to buy something, call me up. We'll identify. I'll walk you through it.
I want to get some of these people in your program already. They got real estate companies. I think 1 + 1 can equal 5, and
easy.
A lot of these things.
Cool. So I really appreciate it. There's very few people that when I see how they operate, I'm impressed, and you're one of those people. And I just love that you're willing to, in this world of info and just entrepreneurship, that you're building. Like you're not, some people stop. And I think that the ones that stop don't ever get a chance to express the true potential of what they could do. And dude, you're 33. So like, it's so fun to see what you're going to build over the next 20 years.
I don't even know, but I'm excited. Well, guys, go check out Dan's new book, Buy Back Your Time. It is going to be right next to The Wealthy Way. It'll probably be bundled, so you might as well get both, right?
Get both.
But I'm going to read it right after this. That's how you leverage. That's how you scale. So go buy the book, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. Thanks for making it to the end. The good news is I've got another one that I know you're going to like, and all you got to do is click it right here. Linking it right here. All you got to do is just click it, and you're going to see this new episode that you're going to love.